Wow, look at that. XRP has plunged all the way down to $2.82. To commemorate the moment, I crafted a special image showing XRP coins engulfed in flames. A little dramatic? Maybe. But hey, sometimes you just have to let it all burn, right? The pain is real. But in some twisted way, I think putting this out there actually helps people feel a bit better. Catharsis, maybe? Anyway, yes, XRP is at $2.82 at the exact moment I'm recording this. For those curious, it's 1:14 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. So, how's everyone holding up out there? I mean, it don't take things too seriously. You've got to find the humor in it somewhere. In fact, by the end of this video, if you're currently down bad emotionally, you might actually start feeling a little more optimistic. Because honestly, there's not much reason to freak out. I'm just having a bit of fun here. But seriously, I've gathered fresh analysis from 11 different XRP chart experts. Most of this insight is hot off the press, like literally within the last few hours. This is the real-time pulse of the crypto world reacting to the price action. Let me be clear, yes, XRP is slipping, but so is the entire market. Check out Live Coin Watch. It's an ocean of red out there. This isn't something specific to XRP. Nothing fundamentally broke here. It's just a wider market correction. Oh, look, make that $2.81 now. The suffering continues. But before we dive deeper, I want to make one thing absolutely clear. I don't have a background in finance. None of this is investment advice. Don't buy or sell anything based on what I say. This is just a hobby. I'm a crypto enthusiast who enjoys making these videos for fun. Bitcoin's not faring too well either. It's dropped to $112,742. But let's take a step back and try to see the bigger picture. Here's a fresh post from chart analyst Galaxy, shared just about 30 minutes ago, around 12:50 p.m. Central Time. Now, while he's specifically discussing Bitcoin, I think it offers a valuable perspective that applies more broadly, so I wanted to bring it up. See, every time the market dips like this, the typical retail investor tends to react with anxiety, unease, maybe even panic. But honestly, these kinds of moments are nothing new. If you've been around the crypto space long enough, or even if you just look at the last 16 years of market behavior, you'll see this is all part of the norm. These pullbacks are practically routine. That's why I always say, you've got to start expecting these kinds of corrections. They're not exceptions. They're standard operating procedure in this asset class. So when your portfolio suddenly drops in value, as mine definitely has big time, it's not a reason to lose your mind. It doesn't mean everything's collapsing. Quite the opposite, actually. Crypto, as a whole, has been in an upward trend since it began. Not necessarily year after year, but definitely cycle after cycle. So why panic when the value dips temporarily? Especially when history shows us the long-term direction is up. A red day, or even a red month, doesn't automatically signal that your favorite assets are doomed or heading to zero. That's just not how this works. I mean, can you tell I'm being real here? I even threw in the claps for emphasis. You know I mean it. So back to what Galaxy said. Every dip since $30,000 was left in the dust and forgotten. And chances are, this one will be no different. If you look at his chart tracking back to early 2024, it shows a series of sharp corrections. They happened often. And during each one, for a bunch of people, it felt like the sky was falling. Legitimately kept folks up at night. But looking back, did any of those dips justify the stress? Were those freakouts useful? Did they help you make better decisions? Or were they just pure emotional noise based on fear, not facts? Exactly. So here we are again. Another dip. And guess what I think? We're probably headed higher, just saying. This next one's from chart analyst Mustache, and he's sharing insights based on the Total 3 chart. If you're not familiar with that, it's a chart that tracks the performance of the top 125 cryptocurrencies excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's what you're seeing on the screen right now. He said, I see a lot of people out there getting spooked. But his point is, don't get caught up in the short-term noise. Zoom out and look at the bigger picture. That's where the real story is. According to him, Total 3 has formed an inverse head and shoulders pattern, just like we saw back in 2021, and it's already broken out of that setup. the retest phase is done too. So what we're seeing right now, just a temporary dip before things head higher. And honestly, I agree. That's the most likely scenario based on this setup. Now, here's another take from Mustache, this time using the Tether dominance chart. For context, this tracks the market share of Tether, USDT, a major stablecoin. And right now, that chart is breaking down. Historically, when Tether dominance falls, it usually means the money's flowing out of stablecoins and into riskier assets like altcoins. And that's good news for us. Mustache points out that Tether just broke down from a 7-month ascending broadening wedge, and it's currently retesting that breakdown level. Once that retest wraps up, altcoins could absolutely take off again. His message? This correction is a gift. All of this is part of the normal cycle. Nothing unusual here. And with that in mind, let's shift focus and talk about XRP for the rest of this video. Here's a post from chart analyst Cryptos, shared earlier this morning at 7:35 a.m. At that time, XRP was trading a little higher than it is now, about $2.93 compared to the current $2.81. So, what was he saying back then? If this support level fails to hold, we could be in for some real trouble. What we need to see is an hourly candle close above that red zone to signal a potential recovery. That key level looks to be just over $3, probably around $3.02 or $3.03. To be fair, he's been flagging this possibility for a while now, warning that a breakdown could be on the horizon. So, credit where it's due, he's been on top of it. That said, he's not necessarily predicting a total collapse or anything dramatic. He's just been giving consistent updates as the situation evolves. Honestly, nothing about this is wildly unexpected. Now, this part isn't exactly shocking. And as for Left Crypto, look, his target hasn't been hit yet. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. By the time you're watching this, the price could be lower. I don't know. You guys in the future probably know more than I do right now. But let's take a look at a post he shared back on July 29th. I actually mentioned this when it first dropped. It's only been a few days, but he pointed out that XRP was starting to show signs of weakness on the lower time frames. According to his chart, a pullback to around $2.60 looked likely before the next leg up in the bull run. Now, just to be clear, Left Crypto is still very bullish long term. He's talked openly about XRP pushing well above $5, maybe even heading into double-digit territory. So his outlook hasn't changed. He just gave a heads up about this potential dip. And to his credit, he was one of the few who did. That said, we haven't actually dropped that far, at least not yet. A few other analysts I've referenced recently also flagged this as a possibility. They weren't necessarily calling for it with strong conviction, but based on the technicals, they noted that a pullback closer to $2.80 wouldn't be out of the question. So yeah, we haven't seen that exact price action just yet, but given the broader market conditions, especially if Bitcoin and others are sliding, this kind of move is very much within the realm of normal. It's not some catastrophic event. It happens. Alright, here's a post from chart analyst Dark Defender. He's saying that XRP has now completed the fourth wave dip in the daily market structure, something he mentioned on July 29th, 4 days ago. Now, to be fair, he wasn't the only one pointing this out, but credit to him for making the call and documenting it. He mentioned a potential drop to around $2.85. And while that's solid, there were actually several analysts who flagged a similar range before he did, and I've covered them in earlier videos. One of those examples is from chart analyst Greg Crypto. This morning at 10:46 a.m., he posted something along the lines of, "I hate to say I told you so," and referred back to a post he originally made on July 23rd. In that earlier post, he stressed that XRP needed to stay above $2.80 with a full body candle. If not, a wick down to $2.34 was likely. He also pointed to $2.65 as a crucial structural support level that could trigger the next big move upward. He went on to say that August would bring a sharp correction that few others were even acknowledging back in late July. So again, he was early with this bearish prediction, and now we're seeing some of that play out. The reality is, several analysts were aware that a move like this was possible, and I've been keeping up with these insights, sharing them as they came in. No one can predict the market with certainty. It's always about weighing probabilities and reading the signs. And here's another one-chart analyst, Dr. Cat, posted less than 90 minutes ago, around 12:02 p.m. Central. According to him, this correction should wrap up sometime between August 2nd and August 4th, with $2.78 acting as a likely support zone on the 3-day chart. Let's hope that holds true. So, here we are at $2.81. Let's not dip more than a few cents lower. Maybe we hold here, maybe not. That's a tight window, sure, but I'm seeing a lot of continued confidence from chart analysts. Just to be clear, none of the XRP analysts I follow have turned bearish in the big picture sense. Some are warning of short-term dips, yes, but none of them believe the broader trend has been broken. Long-term, the structure still looks solid. Here's a take from chart analyst CW. He says there's a heavy buy wall sitting between $2.50 and $2.75. So if prices drop into that zone, there's strong demand waiting. That's not fear, that's smart money seeing opportunity. Now let's check out a post from X-Force Global, shared this morning at 10:56 a.m. He says XRP is on a one-way ticket to $4 and beyond very soon. He even called this the final chance to accumulate before liftoff, assuming he's reading the WXY pattern correctly. At the time of his post, XRP was already down to about $2.83. We bounced a bit, dropped again. Now we're back at $2.81. But look at that. Despite the drop, these analysts aren't rattled. Not one of them is panicking. They've seen this before. It's routine. And honestly, if you're letting this shake you, it's worth asking why. These pullbacks are a natural part of crypto cycles. This is how it works. Look, I get it, pullbacks sting, but stop treating them like something abnormal. Crypto does this. You've got to take the dips with the pumps. Historically, it's always trended up over time. This is no different. Here's a post from chart analyst Zoom. He says wave 5 on the lower time frame is nearly done, and that XRP hitting $6 to $8 in August is highly likely. He posted that at 6:14 a.m. today, even though the price had already dropped to $2.93 at the time. That didn't change his outlook at all. Zoom was also one of the early ones, warning that XRP could dip to the $2.80 range. He called that out back on July 25th. So far, that $2.80 level seems to be acting as support. Will it hold? No guarantees, of course, but it's proving to be a significant zone. The bigger point here, even if we dip further, it doesn't change the macro outlook. These analysts are still bullish, even while prices are dropping. That makes sense to me. We're in a bull market, and this kind of correction is totally normal. Just like back in 2017, there were 6 or 7 separate pullbacks, some over 30%, a few even past 40%. It was still a bull run. This is just how crypto behaves. Don't let it shake you. Seriously, sleep easy. We're likely in the final stages of this cycle, which is exactly where life-changing gains tend to happen. We've all been waiting years for XRP's face-melting moment. The last one was late 2017 into early 2018. That was the last time everyone's faces melted. Since then, people have had time to recover, grow new faces. But I think it's time we go faceless again. I want to see no faces left. That's how insane the next move could be. Here's a post from Steph's Crypto. He said XRP millionaires will be made in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Now, of course, that's just his forecast. No one knows the timing exactly. But given how far along we are in this cycle, that's not a crazy take. He even has a chart showing a magnet pulling XRP up to $6.50. That post came in this morning at 10:40 a.m., and it just adds to the wave of bullish sentiment from experienced analysts. Also worth revisiting but it's a good reminder. He said, XRP is building a strong base on its 0.886 Fibonacci level in preparation for a major breakout. Even if we dip more, it doesn't change the foundation he sees forming. Then we have Alex Cobb, a fellow XRP content creator. He said, "Steady, lad, zoom out. Just a month ago, we were fighting to stay above $2. Now it's $3. End of August? Could be $4. And he might be right. We'll see." So, you've got two options. Let fear rule you like some of these panic-selling XRP coins. Or take a step back, breathe, and realize this is normal. Yeah, we're down to $2.77 now as I'm wrapping up this video. It's dipping. But nothing I said has changed. Doesn't matter how far it falls. No one can predict the exact bottom. What does matter is understanding how this market behaves. I've been through every XRP pump and dump since 2017. I've never sold a single XRP. And I'm telling you, none of this downside movement matters in the long run. XRP is stronger now than it's ever been in terms of fundamentals. The crypto crackdown is behind us. Global liquidity is expanding. The money supply, M2, is rising again. And Bitcoin, along with the rest of crypto, historically follows that trend. So no, I'm not seeing a reason to be afraid. Not even a little. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing I say should be taken as investment advice. But if you ask me, this looks like opportunity, not a crisis.